good ratings returns for the Indiana Fever.
The Caitlin Clark effect continues even when she's not on the court.
Anything without Clark is lower than everything else, but everything else has gotten higher than it was before.
Caitlin Clark is the biggest drawer in women's basketball.
Something unbelievable just happened. The Indiana Fever's ratings skyrocketed, even without Caitlin Clark on the court.
The Indiana Fever drew 851,000 viewers, becoming the most viewed WNBA game despite Caitlin Clark's absence. This viewership was crazy.
But don't get it twisted. This isn't about the team surviving without her. It's about the massive shadow she casts over the entire league.
Without Caitlin Clark being in attendance, it is not stopping fans from viewing the games and supporting the team.
The Fever pulled in record-breaking numbers, and guess what? Caitlin didn't even play. Now she's back, and everything's about to explode again. Drop a comment below if you support Caitlin Clark 100%. We want to see how strong her fan base really is.
Caitlin Clark is a rising star in women's basketball. She's pulling in crazy viewership numbers.
Caitlin Clark is the needle mover.
She is the needle mover.
She is the franchise player.
And she was the MVP.
She is the main draw.
She wasn't the one who was full sprinting down the court.
She's my role model. I really look up to her.
Why do you like Caitlin?
Yeah, she's so good at basketball.
Because she's that awesome person and she has like a lot of aura, so like.
The numbers are in, and they're shocking. The Indiana Fever's recent game against the Connecticut Sun drew 851,000 viewers, making it the most watched WNBA game on ION.
Average 851,000 viewers on ION
This entire season. And here's the catch. Caitlin Clark didn't even step on the court.
Fever's matchup on Friday versus the Connecticut Sun, 851,000 viewers, becoming the most viewed WNBA game on ION this season, despite Caitlin Clark's absence.
The Caitlin Clark effect continues even when she's not on the court.
She was sidelined with a quad injury, yet the nation still showed up in record numbers to watch a game without its biggest star. At first glance, critics might try to spin this as evidence that the Fever, or even the WNBA, can thrive without Clark. But don't fall for the illusion, because when you look deeper, it becomes crystal clear. This record-breaking viewership is 100% the result of Caitlin Clark's presence.
She is more famous than all of this generation's NBA stars.
Caitlin Clark effect, there has been so much of an influx in attendance, in jersey sales, and viewership, all the things.
Caitlin Clark comes into the WNBA, goes through college. She has panache. She has style.
Influence and fan base. Fans didn't just tune in to see Indiana play. They tuned in because it's Caitlin Clark's team. Whether she's in uniform or in street clothes on the bench, her name alone brings millions to the screen. Let's compare. Just a week before, other WNBA matchups, without Caitlin, were barely reaching 400,000 viewers. Some games didn't even break 350,000. Paige Bucher's highly anticipated debut.
Paige Becker's WNBA debut, 639,000. Sparks, Valkyrie, the inaugural game, 581,000. The WNBA was feeling themselves.
That drew around 639,000 viewers. Even Aja Wilson and the star-packed Las Vegas Aces couldn't carry a post-Fever slot past 459,000 viewers. But somehow the Fever, without Clark, drew nearly double that. Why? Because the viewers came for her, and many didn't even stay for the next game. As one podcaster pointed out, nearly 300,000 people turned off the broadcast once the Fever game ended.
I know you guys don't believe it because 300,000 people turned it off, but there was.
The message is loud and clear. Clark's influence doesn't stop when she's injured. She's still the engine behind WNBA viewership. And let's not forget, the same game on ION this time last year drew only 389,000 viewers. That means the Fever's 851K performance this week marked a 119% increase in viewership.
The 851,000 viewers on ION was a 119% increase over the comparable window last year that did 389,000 viewers.
That kind of growth doesn't happen by accident. It happens when a generational player changes the landscape. And that's exactly what Caitlin Clark has done.
Growth involving Clark and the Fever is higher than everything else.
While critics may scramble to twist the recent rating surge as evidence that the Indiana Fever can draw numbers without Caitlin Clark, they're missing the bigger truth. This loyalty isn't organic. It was built by Caitlin Clark. Fever fans didn't just pop out of nowhere. They weren't packing the seats or tuning in from all over the country last year. In fact, the Fever were often an afterthought.
Clark's fan base that became Fever fans are sticking around and supporting the team, or at least a lot of them are, which is a great sign.
That all changed the moment Caitlin entered the league. She didn't just bring talent. She brought an entire culture of viewership and energy that the WNBA hadn't seen in decades. What's happening now is a result of her groundwork. Clark turned a regional team into a national phenomenon. She gave Indiana a reason to believe again. And even while injured, her impact keeps feeding the fire. Just take a look at the numbers. Ion's viewership for the Fever game jumped 119% compared to the same game slot last year.
Averaged 851,000 viewers on Ion, which is the network's largest audience of the season and a 119% increase over the comparable window last year.
This isn't about the Fever suddenly becoming a ratings juggernaut. It's about Clark's presence supercharging the brand and giving people a reason to care. And that loyalty runs deep. According to multiple creators across the transcripts, Fever fans didn't flinch when Caitlin was sidelined. They kept showing up, not just in front of TVs, but in the arena, not just for highlights, but for full game support. One commentator compared it to being a Golden State Warriors fan during Steph Curry's injuries. You stay loyal because you're emotionally invested in the player who made you fall in love with the game in the first place. That's what Caitlin has done.
Caitlin Clark is the GOAT.
She signed my jersey. So happy, I'm crying. I'm so happy. This is the best day ever.
The jerseys, the number 22, the various styles, whether it's a t-shirt with 22, whether it's an Iowa jersey, whether it's a Fever jersey, a throwback, I mean, whatever. The amount of people in yellow 22 apparel is stunning.
Because she's that awesome person, and she has like a lot of aura, so like.
Cannot deny the impact that she's made on this sport.
She's not just a star. She's an anchor for this fan base. Even basketball legends are saying it. ESPN analyst and former WNBA star Rebecca Lobo explained that this team is built around Caitlin Clark's strengths.
One of the best advanced passers in the WNBA. Well, when she's not playing, that's going to look different. She's one of the best players we've seen in women's basketball in terms of involved in the pick and roll. That is going to look different when she's not on the floor.
From her elite passing in the pick and roll to her ability to create spacing, this roster thrives when she's on the floor.
They are going to be much, much better once Caitlin Clark is back on the floor.
Lobo pointed out that without her, players like Aaliyah Boston aren't getting the same quality touches and the offensive rhythm shifts. So while fans continue to support the team in her absence, there's no question the product changes drastically without her. The offense is less fluid and the floor spacing collapses. The Fever are essentially playing without their engine, and yet fans are still showing up because they know who drives the team.
She is the needle mover.
She is the franchise player.
And she was the MVP.
She is the main draw.
She wasn't the one who was full sprinting down the court.
But it's not just the X's and O's. It's the emotional connection she's built with fans across the country. Fever loyalists aren't just watching out of obligation. They're watching out of devotion to the player who gave this franchise new life. And it's not just Indiana fans either. International viewers are tuning in to see Caitlin. As one clip pointed out, 95% of overseas viewership is locked in on the Fever, simply because of her. That's not just loyalty, that's global reach. Let's also not ignore what's happening behind the scenes. According to reports, ticket sales are climbing again as rumors grow about Caitlin's potential return.
People believe she will be playing, and that's starting to make the ticket prices go up, up, and up.
Merch sales remain sky high. Fans are flooding social media asking for updates, injury timelines, and when they can expect to see her back on the hardwood. No other player, not even reigning MVPs, generates this kind of buzz when they miss a few games.
The Caitlin Clark effect continues even when she's not on the court.
Caitlin Clark's mere presence on the bench, signing autographs, or being shown on the sideline makes headlines. That's star power you can't manufacture. So yes, give credit to the Fever for staying competitive. Applaud the fans for continuing to tune in. But don't lose sight of the truth It was Caitlin Clark who built this wave.
That's nice.
And she was shooting the shit out of it.
Of course she was.
Right, so she was shooting the shit out of it. And
she's the face of the league.
Agreed.
Just have nothing but great things to say about who she is as a person. She's so welcoming and so warm as an individual that she can have a conversation with anybody. She's cut from the same cloth as me in that regard. You know, us Midwesterners, we tend to just, accept everybody with open arms. She was so kind to my family and everyone in the suite when she came to KC. So huge fans of Caitlin Clark.
And even when she's out, she is still the reason it's rising. Without her, none of this momentum exists. With her back in the lineup, the league's about to experience another surge. And this time, it won't just be 851,000 viewers. It's going to be millions. Caitlin Clark's return isn't just another injury update. It's the storyline the entire WNBA is holding its breath for.
WNBA rumors suggest Caitlin Clark will be among the first stars making $1 million annually. The most notable of which is, y'all already know who, the needle mover, Caitlin Clark.
So in 2024, she averaged 16.5 points per game, 4 assists, 5.5 rebounds. She shot 37% from the field and 31.8% from three. Now, if you look at her preseason in 2025, she only played 2 games in this preseason, and one was against that Brazilian national team. She played 21 minutes. She averaged 14.5 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. She shot 52.5% from the field and 50% from three-point range.
Let's be honest, the Fever survived her absence, and viewership stayed remarkably high. But everyone knows the full explosion is only coming once she's back in uniform. Her return isn't just about healing from a quad injury. It's about reigniting the electricity the league desperately needs to keep the momentum alive. When Caitlin Clark steps back onto the court, it won't just be a boost for Indiana. It will be a reset for the entire league. Media outlets are already shifting gears. Ticket sales are climbing.
Her ticket prices are starting to go up.
Merch sales are projected to spike once again. WNBA arenas that typically struggle to fill seats are bracing for sold-out road games. Why? Because Clark is more than just a rookie phenom. She's the center of gravity in women's basketball right now. Look around the league. As the Fever versus Sun game pulled 851,000 viewers, again, without Clark, the following game featuring Aja Wilson and the Las Vegas Aces couldn't even break 460,000. Let that sink in. The so-called face of the league couldn't retain half the viewership Clark's team brought in. And this isn't a one-time thing. As pointed out in several creator breakdowns, over 300,000 viewers literally turned off their TVs once the Fever game ended.
She's the face of the league. Agreed.
Caitlin Clark is a superstar globally.
That's not just a stat, that's a message. The WNBA can promote faces of the league all they want, but the numbers speak louder. Paige Becker's debut, lower than a Clarkless Fever game. Other elite matchups without Caitlin, down by hundreds of thousands. The truth is, no player has ever had the immediate and overwhelming impact that Caitlin Clark has delivered, and she hasn't even hit her prime yet. Let's go deeper. Her influence doesn't stop at the scoreboard or the TV ratings. She's transforming how the game is talked about. ESPN segments, social media debates, TikTok edits, podcast episodes. Clark dominates every platform. She draws comparisons to Steph Curry, LeBron James, even Kobe Bryant.
LeBron is not the rating driver that Caitlin Clark is. Of Caitlin compared to the rest that are just individually there to see her is berserk. Absolutely berserk. Kobe was probably a bigger draw in big games.
One commentator rightly said there hasn't been a ratings draw like her in women's basketball. Period. And you know what? He's right. Caitlin Clark is in a lane of her own. Even NBA players and former legends are commenting on her impact. Steph Curry himself has acknowledged her shooting talent. LeBron James pointed out the lack of protection she's receiving. That's not normal. That's not routine praise. That's the highest echelon of basketball royalty, recognizing someone who's altering the cultural fabric of the sport.
What's the panic meter right now for Fever fans? Where should they Where should they be?
Where is the panic meter, or where should the panic meter be, Elle? Because those are two very different things.
Right.
I'm sure Fever fans were expecting a very different start, but they should not be worried, I don't think, at all. Remember, 2 of the 3 games that they lost were with Caitlin Clark. It was by a combined 3 points. One of those games was to the New York Liberty. This is a team that's based around what Caitlin Clark does so well. They got rim runners this year. She's one of the best advanced passers in the WNBA. Well, when she's not playing, that's going to look different. She's one of the best players we've seen in women's basketball in terms of involved in the pick and roll. That is going to look different when she's not on the floor. Aaliyah Boston isn't going to get the same kind of touches. So the players are learning how to play right now, not only with one another, but now without Caitlin Clark. It was a great sign that in their last game, DeWanna Bonner had a 20-point game, but I don't think that fans should be too worried. I think they're going to find themselves. And in some ways, this could help some of the supplemental pieces grow a little bit in Caitlin Clark's absence.
Well,
And yet, while the numbers tell us she's the biggest star, the WNBA itself has done very little to capitalize on her momentum. Instead of pushing her front and center, the league often downplays her popularity, perhaps to preserve egos or to balance visibility among veterans. But here's the hard truth. No brand survives by hiding its brightest star. The NBA didn't become a global powerhouse by dimming Michael Jordan's spotlight. They built everything around him, and the league exploded. The WNBA has the same opportunity right now with Caitlin Clark, but they have to embrace it. Let's talk timing. We're now just about 2 weeks removed from the day her injury was announced. That means her return could happen any day now. And fans know it. The fever pitch, no pun intended, is building. Social media is buzzing with every practice video, every injury update, every rumor. This isn't passive fandom. This is Caitlin mania, and it's only going to grow when she steps back onto the floor.
This is great news for women's basketball, period. So in 2024, she averaged 16.5 points per game, 4 assists, 5.5 rebounds. She shot 37% from the field and 31.8% from 3. Now, if you look at her preseason in 2025, she only played 2 games in this preseason, and one was against that Brazilian national team. She played 21 minutes. She averaged 14.5 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. She shot 52.5% from the field and 50% from 3-point range.
It is a mad situation just all around when it comes to Caitlin Clark, because it's very clear that she is way stronger.
Caitlin has always been an underrated athlete. She's the fastest player in the league to me with the ball in her hands, and she was the best guard finishing around the rim last year. She shot a bunch of it, and it's been the whole preseason where it looks to me like on her deepest shots, she is just getting them off like they're nothing, like they're routine, because nobody else is shooting from this distance regularly, and she's doing it with a flick of the wrist.
What should we expect when she returns? A ratings avalanche, a league-wide reset. Viewership will jump again, media coverage will spike, and even the players around her will benefit. Aaliyah Boston's efficiency improves with Clark. Kelsey Mitchell gets more open looks. The spacing, the tempo, the IQ, all of it shifts back into high gear when Caitlin is running the show. As Rebecca Lobo noted, the team is constructed around her vision and passing ability, and that means her return brings structural balance back to the Fever, and by extension, to WNBA headlines. And let's not forget what's truly at stake. The WNBA has seen more buzz in the past 3 months than in the last 3 years combined, and it's not because of flashy marketing campaigns or commissioner initiatives. It's because one rookie changed everything. From game attendance to ratings, to jersey sales, to national conversations, Caitlin Clark is the needle. When she sits, the pulse slows. When she plays, the league moves. So let's call it what it is. Her return is not just highly anticipated, it's absolutely necessary. If the WNBA wants to continue the upswing, if the Fever want to keep turning fans into believers, if women's basketball wants to keep breaking records, then Caitlin Clark's comeback is more than just a good storyline. It's the spark that reignites the fire. So here we are. Ratings are soaring, fans are showing up, and the Indiana Fever continue to dominate headlines, all while Caitlin Clark recovers on the sidelines. But don't let anyone fool you.
It is undeniable that Caitlin Clark is the engine.
Caitlin Clark effect. There has been so much of an influx in attendance, in jersey sales, and viewership, all the things.
That's about star power, narrative, and likability.
Caitlin Clark comes into the WNBA, goes through college. She has panache. She has style.
It is a mad situation just all around when it comes to Caitlin Clark, because it's very clear that she is way stronger.
Caitlin has always been an underrated athlete. She's the fastest player in the league to me with the ball in her hands. And she was the best guard finishing around the rim last year. She shot a bunch of it, and it's been the whole preseason where it looks to me like on her deepest shots, she is just getting them off like they're nothing, like they're routine, because nobody else is shooting from this distance regularly, and she's doing it with a flick of the wrist.
Success, this momentum, this surge, it's all tied to her. The truth is, Caitlin Clark hasn't just changed a team, she's changing the entire WNBA. And with her return now just around the corner, the league better be ready, because when she steps back on that court, the numbers will spike, the arenas will roar, and the eyes of the world will be locked in once again. If you thought the Fever pulling 851,000 viewers without her was impressive, just wait. This is only the beginning. Now it's your turn. Flood the comments if you're 100% behind Caitlin Clark. Let's show the league who's really driving the game forward.